friends for not abandoning me. A lot of you don't know my history, but I've completely ignored them for 3 years while I was trying to figure out if my life would be worth living again. So thank you so much for being here. And then thank you for the additional family members I am gaining today. Rod's family. I've been getting to know Rod's family, and they have accepted me with open arms, which, they've been incredible. They really have. They're just phenomenal. Well, obviously. and they're all great, and I'm so appreciative how incredible it feels. And I'm especially thankful to my family members who are here today. You've made Ra feel included and treated her like family, and that's so important. And for that, I am truly grateful. I really am. Thank you. There is one person that I definitely want to acknowledge, Karen Curran, who introduced me to Ra. Thank you, Karen, for not taking no for an answer. All right. And there's this old saying that you don't marry the person you can live with. You marry the person you cannot live without. And I found that person. I have. I can't live from her. So Ra's smart, funny, beautiful, and caring, kind, and just seeing her smile makes my whole world just light up. It's a happier place when I see Ra smile. It is. It really is. And so I'd like to toast Ra with thank you for giving my life a new purpose. I love you with all my heart. Hurrah.
Everybody.
And thank you all so much for coming.
A cousin, let's say by marriage, and we've known each other for about. And we made each other. I've known her about 25 years or so.
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. Except my first correction. There's many more where that came from, believe me. I've had a chance to try to understand Ra, and I will tell to Terry that you're getting a really confident and self-assured woman. She's tenacious, she's generous, but she can be very vulnerable. She's sometimes too trusting. And if there was one trait, if Terry's parents were here, there's one trait of Ra that I would tell them, and that Ra will take care of her man. And I truly believe that. There are many people that helped Ra along this road to get to this point. I cannot name them all, but there are many sitting around us who has helped Ra in her time of need. And so I salute you. But the one person I will name is, of course, Karen, who was able to. Listen, Karen, you're famous. Believe it. Everybody now knows you. But Karen is the one that brought them together. I'm so happy that she did. And I think that she made 2 other people extremely happy. So I'm going to just give Ra and Terry just one piece of advice, unsolicited, of course. The advice is never. And this piece of advice comes from Confucius, 2,500 years ago, and he had his own version of the Golden Rule. And what he said was, "What you do not want done to others, do not do to your significant other, as modified by me. So Rob brings to this union a true love for Terry. I can see it in her eyes, and I can see it in the way she acts. And in the words of the well-known singer Tammy Wynette, Rob will stand by her man. And I must say something about Terry too. Terry will be that loving husband that Rob needs, and he will gently try to contain her weaknesses. Ever so gently. So together, they will be the wind beneath each other's wings.
Against my will to be photographer too, but you don't argue with Ra. I said, Ra, no, I can't do that. He says, oh, you can. You're such a good photographer.
There you are.
And you used to be able, you're funny. Oh, you're so funny. So funny. I was funny once. When I was much younger, I think about 6. So, I've worked on this impromptu speech for weeks. I have a few pieces of something that I borrowed from Mark Twain, my favorite philosopher. Actually, what he said is, better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you are a fool than to open it and remove all doubt. So I opened it, I'm in trouble now. But what he says is true. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. I love Ra. I've known Ra for how long, Ra?
8 years.
Hey, we were just thinking about that. I thought 10, I thought 20, I said 7. Hey, don't argue with Ra. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that Ra has been very, very quiet. I don't know what that means. It may bode well for you. Have you been quiet on purpose? Actually, no. I got something else here. He said a few other things that are somewhat funny. So I put off writing this impromptu speech, and Twain says, never put off till tomorrow what you can do the day after tomorrow. So anyway, I've known Ra for a while. We were neighbors, we were friends, we were eating partners. Ra likes caviar. Anybody know that? She likes caviar and champagne. How many buddies do you have? Let's have the caviar and champagne. Oh, Ra, I can call you up and arrange that. And then she'll bring some cheese. And sometimes she brings 79 different kinds of rich cheese. Now, I'm not going to say that you're responsible for this. But you didn't help. Ra's a dear person. She's very sweet. I don't know Terry that well. Every time that we have been together, I've enjoyed it. He said that he fixes things. I said, I got this thing to fix. Oh, I'm busy. I'm too busy. So he hasn't gotten to it yet. I don't think he'll ever get to it. Ra, you look so beautiful today.
Yes.
As I look now, it's in the jeans. She has very nice jeans.
I think so.
So I don't know what to say. I love Ra. I've known her for a long time. She's a good eating and drinking, but not only champagne, but she can drink and eat other things. You would be surprised how much she can eat and drink. So I'm on a diet. I can't eat anything, and she's going to respect my spotty habit this one. I get it to where it should be. I know she will. She's a sweet woman. She's very nice. You're lucky to have her by your side. We're all lucky to know Ra, and thank you for the opportunity to say a few words to your health. L'chaim. You're welcome.
Two people up here, and they're absolutely fantastic. I couldn't have said it any better than they've said it all. But again, I have been a neighbor and a good friend of Ra's for probably the last 6 or 7 years in our neighborhood. And not know how much more can I add to just what a wonderful person she's been. I just have a few quick notes here, but all I can say is what a wonderful day it is, and how excited we are for both of you, and honored to be here to witness this occasion. We all wish you a long, happy, loving, and healthy future. Our blessings to you both. Also, I do want to say, and by the way, aren't they a great-looking couple?
From way back, so far back that he knew to call my wife and ask me if I would be pictures for him at his wedding. And I didn't say yes. So, anyways, for some reason, my mental image of Terry is that of a sailor. It may be a result of seeing him so frequently in his nice little sailor cap, which he just looks so appropriate wearing. Or it may be something in the way he moves, which is definitely a sailor's stride that clearly states he isn't going to be tumbled around by any rough weather or rogue waves. Or it may just be my imagination, because when I try to recall my actual sailing experience with Terry, the closest I get is idling around on Lake Mission Viejo on a party boat, enjoying drinks with Gordon and Angela. And sorry, no tall tales about racing around the marks or broaching to leeward. It may be mistaken about I may be mistaken about the full sailor persona that Terry projects, but we haven't been out with Terry on any high seas. And why haven't we? Then I realized it was because, as an international man of mystery, Terry has had a not-so-secret life as a gentleman farmer in France. And his annual visits to Les Epineurs, or the Blossoms, as the farmhouse in Molac is known, have typically coincided with our seafaring trips. Fortunately, Christine and I have had the opportunity to visit with Terry, his French alter ego, he's got one, and see that side of his personality. But first, we had to find the farmhouse, which, according to Garmin, back in the first days when we went there, was situated on the wrong side of a road over a berm in the middle of the field. Clearly, Terry's French side showed his disdain for the close proximity of the California lifestyle. On that first visit, we noticed other subtle differences in Terry. For instance, he had bats in his belfry, or at least his attic, and skeletons in his closet, actually rather small ones, also in the attic. But we could see that Terry was ready for the challenge of turning a rustic ruin of a farmhouse back into a comfortable retreat from the stresses of work in America. So we returned a few years later and found Terry was putting the finishing touches on the attic renovations. Everything takes a little more time in France and a lot more coordination when you are overseeing work from the States. Terry's patient approach to long-term projects seems to have been perfectly suited to this part of the endeavor. A bottle of Chablis while dining on the lawn in the summer sun with friends from England also seemed to help. On our last visit to Balak, we were with Ken and Jane, and we'll be talking shortly, and found that Terry had really learned to let his hair down while living in France. So much so that someone, wasn't me, decided that they needed to put Terry's lengthy locks up in curlers, which he went along with in his typical good-natured style. Sadly, he did not excel in the duck lips contest. That was awarded to Ken. Interesting nights in Balak. One thing I have noticed over the time of our visits in Balak is that Terry's secret to being a gentleman farmer is not to do any farming. As they say, a man has got to know his limitations. Now that Terry and Ra have started their own adventure, I hope there will be an opportunity to have them join us on our sailing adventures in the future and see if Terry does in fact have real sea legs. In any event, he is a good man and a good mate to have on board. Terry.
Brother. There's a couple of people here thought that was the case. I called Terry earlier in the week to find out the status of the events. And the first thing I jokingly asked him was if he was getting cold feet. And the next thing I know, the phone went dead. Well, that was pretty ominous. But I thought Ra was listening and made him hang up. But it was just a bad connection. When I called back and asked about the festivities, he said each speaker was allotted 5 minutes, but I could keep it short to 2 minutes. Terry, I can keep it short, but not because you asked me, but because I feel I'm happy with the rest of it. After I was asked to speak, I reflected back on our relationship. Jane and I have known Terry for roughly 20 years, give or take. Over those years, we socialized at birthday parties, dinners, cruises, on Michigan, whole lake. A couple of concerts, barbecues. We even visited him at his house in Balak. So, Ra, you probably know this, but right now you're going to have to manage the social calendar because that is not a strong point. I remember the first time I met Terry. It was at a barbecue in Lake Forest. He was wearing this great fisherman's hat. Those of you that know Terry probably have seen him wearing this hat. In fact, I'm surprised you're not wearing it tonight. At first, I actually thought you were a great fisherman. But then I was talking to you, and you told me you were from Montana. So now I'm thinking maybe chaps in a cowboy hat. Nonetheless, it was a great head, Terry. I like it because I have a couple myself, but I take mine off when I go to bed. A few things you may not know about Terry, or you may know about Terry. He's trying to save the planet single-handedly by decarbonization, has an electric car, solar panels, God knows what other battery-operated devices he might have. I didn't even want to know. Terry also likes a good vintage scotch, and bourbon, and beer, and gin. No, but seriously, I always liked when Terry came to the house. Other than my daughter, he was the only one that I could share scotch with. And I like the scotch you had today, by the way.
Thank you.
And there's still a little left. To say the least, 2022 is shaping up to be an eventful year for you, Terry. First, retirement, which came as a complete shock to me.
Me too.
Because I thought you would never retire. From all the time that I've known you and we talked at various social events, you were always talking about patent pending, waiting for capital. So I never thought you were going to retire. It seemed like an ongoing saga. So no sooner had the surprise of your retirement hit me when I got a wedding invitation. So it's obvious that since you met Ra, she's been a very good influence on you. I mean, I have a couple other notes. So congratulations to Ra and Terry.
Minutes ago. Ken kindergarten. He really was in a naval uniform. He was in the US Navy, and he was situated in the American Embassy in London, and he rented a house very close to where I lived. And I met him at one of our parties, on the party circuit. And then he came back to America 45 years ago with his wife, with his English wife. And I have seen him so happy through the last 45 years. Then I saw, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get up and get teary. I saw the light go out in his eyes 4 years ago. And Rob, you brought the light back.
Let's all give Angela a big round of applause. That was very.
No attention, but you keep talking about me. So I feel like I have to say something. And my sentiments are very similar to Angela's, in that I've known Terry a long time. I think I started working at Xerox right the same time as you, 2002. We worked at the same company for almost 14 years together. And I was the office manager, and I worked for several engineers, so I was called my guys, like my brothers. I have 2 brothers of my own. And you really are like a brother. I mean, you're just there for so long and would always help me no matter what I needed, and I always needed help. I'd knock on the door and he'd have 3 screens of schematics, and he'd be like you or I would be watching, Outlander, and he's watching numbers. And so, but he'd always help me. So you mean the world to me. So then 2 years ago, I meet Ra at a Rooted group at church. And these two just had a lot in common, and I don't know, God is involved, I'm sure, said to me, I should just introduce them. If anything, they'll just be friends, and they can share very many commonalities they have. And like Angela said, I witnessed both of them being very devastated, but they're both wonderful people. So that was my reasoning for saying, let's just get together, and they can meet and be friends. But here we are at a wedding. So cheers, and I feel so lucky and so blessed to have had anything to do with this. So cheers.
Let's have a big round.
I am Terry's niece, Betsy. I'm part of the underrepresented part of this new union. When Terry asked me to give a toast tonight, I think he said something like, "Would you like to speak at our wedding?" "Oh, I'd be honored. Absolutely honored, sure. Yeah. It can be just 2 or 3 minutes. It can be funny, whatever." And then my heart started pumping. Yeah. I'm gonna give you my best joke, okay? I'm from Montana, a little bit of background, okay? I'm from Montana, my dad's a cattle rancher, so this is me being funny. What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. That's all I got the funny side. When he asked me, I called my mom, I talked to my son, I talked to a dear friend of mine, I said, he wants me to be funny. No, he knows you're the sentimental. He doesn't really mean to be funny. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. But they all said it. I'm not the funny one. I'm the sentimental, I'm the touchy-feely one. So I guess that's why he asked me to speak tonight. So, what I'll say about my Uncle Terry is that the world needs more people like my Uncle Terry. The world needs more men like my Uncle Terry. We are so blessed to have found each other. I know that, and I know that Ra knows that, and I know that you know that. He is humble and kind and understanding. But he also has such an interest in just being a good person. And he'll do right by you, Ra. He'll do right by you. I know that. I know that in my heart of hearts. And I couldn't have chosen a better captain for his ship now than you, Ra. Terry, with all of his goodness, he is also a type of person that really appreciates having a captain to his ship. And I'm happy to welcome you into this family, Ra. I'm very, very happy. Thank you, for being so wonderful. The first time that he told me about you, I was shocked. We're sitting in his Tesla, we went for a cruise. This is really cool. We're sitting down the driveway, he says, so I'm dating somebody. What? I know he didn't know that he was capable, and I didn't know that he was capable. I really didn't. After finding the first love of his life and devoting all of his life to that relationship, I don't think that, like I said, didn't know it was possible. My words to him after he told me that I'm dating somebody, I said to him, you are so brave. I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you. But honestly, Ra, it was because of you. Not any woman could have done that. I saw it in his eyes then, and I see it tonight. You really did bring that light back. You really did. And look at him. He looks nice. He looks amazing. He really does. So, what I will say, well, actually, I'm not going to say this. I'm going to let the good Lord say it himself. I'm going to read just a short Bible passage from Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1 through 4. I'm an 80s girl. Just to preface that. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to sow. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. And this night, friends, we dance and we celebrate. Thank you all. God bless you.